Well, let's talk about it. Let's talk. Mike Peterson got out of prison, right? He did 8 or 9 years. He got out of prison, released to house arrest. Couple things shook the foundation of that investigation. One, the district attorney, Michael Nafong, was disbarred and, as I understand it, imprisoned for misconduct in the Duke lacrosse case. And then the more significant was the State Bureau of Investigation analyst, Dwayne Deaver, the guy whose testimony really locked in Michael Peterson. He was fired for falsifying evidence in 34 cases. And it's not the first time we've seen a law enforcement officer, right? You know, the crime lab in Houston, Texas was shut down. But when you have two cornerstones of a prosecution, the prosecutor and the head forensic analyst, Dwayne Deaver, falsifying information, covering up facts, findings of incompetence or corruption. I mean, no wonder Mike Peterson got released, placed under house arrest for pending a new trial. So eventually Michael Peterson takes a deal and enters a plea that's called an offered plea, and that just basically means, in plain English, I don't have to admit I did it, but I concede a jury would result in finding me guilty. And that's different from the statement of guilt and responsibility that one has to take on a plea deal. But he's free, and the end result is that he remains on the record a convicted felon. There is a great deal of fascination as well as human tragedy about this case, and a lot of unknown. We won't know everything, but when you see that kind of alleged misconduct by forensic analysts and other law enforcement officers, just a laser focus on, we've got to convict this guy. The crime lab in Houston, Texas being shut down by the Department of Public Safety in Texas. You know, the state troopers shut down the Houston crime lab for falsifying information. These are the kinds of, you know, at least we have these checks and balances, but how many other people who weren't the subject of a Netflix documentary have been looked over, overlooked, glossed over, because their cases don't get the kind of media attention that a famous author's does. It's food for thought, man. It's food for thought. I thank you guys so much for joining me. More on true crime when we're back in the studio next.